He's David Gray. Of course, you all knew that here in the Bloodworks live studio. Thank you, David, for coming in today. At the Keller Auditorium tonight, the new album, Gold in a Brass Age, is out now. There was a pretty big, was this the biggest gap in between albums that you've had? I know you put out a best of in between there, but it's almost 4 or 5 years between the two albums.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you up to?
It's just, it's deceptive. I was up to making music, basically. It's not like I was just sitting around knitting or, It was basically, I've been busy making. But this record, for example, was finished, over a year before it came out. So it's, as everyone knows, for one thing, the music business is in a state of turbulence. It's sort of realigning around streaming now. Record companies are starting to do very well. But I put my own records out. I have to make those decisions very, very carefully because you choose your partners each time. So I go one record at a time. And it's down to a key person or someone at a record company that's going to work with you. And if that person moves on, you're suddenly... so those sort of decisions and then how you schedule putting out a record, so that kind of thing can have a huge effect in slowing the release down. And as I say, there was the best of and all that, and I went and did a tour around that. So that I was busy. I've recorded another record, I hasten to add, which will come out some point in the next millennia.
Yeah, I think I heard you say once in an interview that you have to think about putting out these records because it becomes a machine afterwards to go out on that tour and then be away from the family.
You've got to, what you see when you see me up on stage or when you hear the record is just the tip of the iceberg. There's probably another 20 songs that I tried to record that didn't quite make the grade. There's all the effort that goes into trying to present something. And it's a big deal. It's taken an awful lot of my life. I'm not unhappy about that fact. I love the work and I love to try and make it connect in the right way. But all those things take a lot of effort and it's a big commitment. And as I get older, I've got kids, this stuff goes on. Do you know what I mean? People get sick. You want to be there for those people a little bit. And part of my job is to not be there. I'm somewhere else, being David Gray, playing the show. So there's definitely an element of wanting to take a bit more time in my life to, look after some of that other stuff too. I look after myself because I think the thing that happened with success was the person who sort of lost out the most was actually me, because I honoured all my commitments creatively, commercially, to the fans and to my family, but I didn't put any time into my life for myself. And what happens when you do that is you become unhappy. So I think one thing that's changed since the last record is I've started to try and sort of build in a little bit of time that isn't anything to do with music or family or anything, just stuff I like to do,
What are those things? I'm curious. Is it knitting? Because you mentioned it
I've
earlier.
already given the game away.
Yeah.
Yes, I knit like a demon. Would you like a scarf or a sweater?
Since you're asking, I'll take the sweater.
I like nature is my thing, so I just like to go walking or just to be out, basically, outside, up mountains, in the countryside. That's what I like to do. That if I've got a bit of time, that's what I want to do, just go and do something like that.
I think that's one of the things that we forget as music fans is that you brilliant musicians, and I think David Gray, I think we'd all agree with this, has one of the most distinct voices in music. But we forget that you're a human and you're a dad. Do you get like a list of chores to do on a Saturday, or you tinker around the house fixing the water heater? Do you do those things?
No, you wouldn't want me to fix anything. I've got low DIY skills. My dad used to be so frustrated trying to teach me how to do things. I wasn't interested. No, I'm quite organised. I'm an organised kind of person. There's two types of people in the world, tidy and untidy, and I'm in the tidy category. So I like order, do you know what I mean? When I get home from the tour, it's a sort of traumatic moment because everything will be in the wrong place. My wife just goes, I'm going out, Rearrange the pots and pans, you lunatic. Nice to see you too.
Have you Maybe this is the next career, because my final question was going to be, is if you didn't become a musician, have you ever put thought into what you might have become? A closet
this is
organizer?
This final tagline. I could work in a hat shop. Yeah, that really suits you. Yeah,
Sell a lot of hats.
yeah. I don't know. I think whatever it was going to be, something creative. It would be art. It would be something else. I've got to make things. That's part of my sort of coping strategy. That's part of who I am. I think it's a very deep-seated thing. It's not like, oh, what shall I do with my life? I'll be a musician. It isn't like that. Music's just a means for me to express something. I look at my band and how musical they are. They live inside music and swim in it quite naturally. It's like but for me, it's means to make something. It's a way of making a statement. I used to paint and draw a lot. But I sort of put my eggs in the musical basket because I think I sensed I could do something more valid in that format than painting was sort of going out of, or gone out of fashion. So it wasn't that I made a calculated decision, but I think something about music drew me out of myself too. It put me on a stage in front of a crowd and sort of and brought other things into play. But if it wasn't going to be music, it would be art or painting or something else, or filmmaking or something. I'd have gone some other way.
Well, we're glad you ended up where we are, and we'd love to hear some more music. It's David Gray here in the Bloodworks live studio.
So let me introduce my good friend and keyboard player, Tim Bradshaw. He's going to play.